Hi, this is my video for assignment 3.1 MVC read data. So my website is starkini.com. Here's my database. You can see it's basically stock symbols and events and actions to take on those events. So I've got a few stocks listed here, and one of these has some garbage in it that might mess up an HTML tag if it's not escaped properly. So on my website, it's listing the data from the database. If I click on View Details, it makes this URL, and it shows me the detail for that particular strategy. So I can go back and click on another one, and it shows me the information for that strategy. I can go back and click on the one that's messed up, and it just escapes the angle bracket and shows it like it should. So I can go back and I can mess up the URL. So that'll just go to the default controller. If I say and action equals something it doesn't understand, it'll just go to the default controller. If I say edit is, controller is edit and action is show, but I don't give it an ID, it'll say there's no ID. If I mess up the action, it'll say there's no matching action. If I mess up the controller, it just goes back to the default one. If I give it an ID that doesn't exist, it'll say there's no such ID. So the code is written in Python. So here's index.py. I import CGI, import regular expressions, get the stuff from the query string with field storage. Check to see if controller is anything, and if it is nothing, then I give it the word none. This just so I can check for it later, and if it's not nothing, then it'll assign controller to whatever it is. Same thing for action and strategy ID. So then I check to see if controller is edit, and if so, I import the edit class from controllers.edit, and I instantiate it, and I check on the action to see if it's something real. If it's not, I say there's no matching ID. Otherwise, I pass it to the show method in the edit class. And this else statement corresponds with this action. So if the action is not show, then I don't know what it is. So print the content type and say there's no matching action. If the controller is not edit, then just send it home. So I've got models directory, views directory, controllers. Let's go to controllers. This is my home controller. So I'm importing sax utils. This is to help me escape angle brackets and things. DB connector is my own model that connects to my database, and the view is my own model that loads views. So this is just so I can instantiate the class, and this is my show method. So it gets instantiates the view model, prints the content header, connects to the database, selects everything from the database, does the execute on that SQL, shows the header, loops through all the database results, and makes this data dictionary and passes it to the view, and calls the footer and closes the database connections. So my edit class, I'm importing CGI, regular expressions, the DB connector, escape, and views. So I call so the show function takes an ID. Everything takes a self argument first. But it takes an ID, instantiates the view model, shows the header, makes sure that the ID is all numbers. Otherwise, it says it's not all numbers. Connects to the database, selects everything from the database where the ID is what I passed in, executes it. This makes sure that the number of things returned from the database is greater than 0, and if so, it loops through them all, makes this data dictionary, passes it to the model, Otherwise, it says there's no ID, and then it prints the footer view. So my models, the DB connector just connects to the database. It uses the mysql.connector package or module. The view model has a method to print the header. It's got a method to get a view, or it's basically just opening the file, and for each line in the file it's printing it and uses this template, this built-in template class and the substitute method to stick the data in there. And my views, here's my header. It's using a style sheet from CSS style. Footer, my strategy detail page. So if the key is in the dictionary that I pass in as ID, then I just call it with $ID. And strategy row page, this is shown on the home page. And I'm passing in things the same way, $ID, $symbol, and such. And the CSS style sheet it's using.